Hey there, Cinemaster fans. Hope you're ready for some movie magic. Let's dive right in. The series Kingdom of Oʻahu begins in the 18th century, specifically in the Hawaiian Islands, which have been divided by wars into 4 kingdoms: Oʻahu, Maui, Kauaʻi, and Hawaii. These kingdoms are ruled by leaders who are in constant conflict with each other. We learn that there is an ancient prophecy that says a star will appear in the sky and burn, and after that, a king will emerge who will unite these kingdoms and end the war. Indeed, the star appears in the sky, and then people wait for many years, but the awaited king does not appear. On the shore of the kingdom of Kauaʻi, we see a strong warrior named Kaʻiana, who goes out with his family to hunt a shark to eat. At that time, Kaʻiana dives into the sea and waits for the shark to appear. As soon as it approaches, he quickly puts a rope around its mouth, climbs onto its back, and holds onto its fin tightly until he gets close to the shark's gills and puts sleeping herbs inside. The shark keeps swimming in the water, and Kaʻiana holds on until the shark is drugged, falls asleep, and floats to the surface. Then Kaʻiana and his family return to where they live, and we learn that he lives with his family on the shore of the island of Kauaʻi. Here we get to know Kaʻiana's family, which consists of his 2 siblings, Nahi and Namaki, along with Kaʻiana's wife, Kabuhi, and her sister, Hiki. At that time, some young children from the kingdom of Kauaʻi are searching through Kaʻiana's belongings, but an older child comes and drives them away. The child stands fascinated in front of something. It is a warrior's cloak from the kingdom of Maui. When Kaʻiana comes, the child asks him if he is no longer with the kingdom of Maui, even though he was the army leader there. Kaʻiana replies sadly that he is no longer the army leader and that Maui is no longer his homeland, and that has been the case for more than 3 years. We learn that Kaʻiana left the kingdom of Maui because he didn't want to continue in wars caused by greed and the desire for control over other kingdoms, especially since his father was killed in one of those wars. We understand that Kaʻiana is not just a warrior who fights for the kingdom, but he dreams of seeing Hawaii and the surrounding islands without wars, living in peace. But at some point, he realized that achieving that dream through violence would never happen, so he left everything and walked away from the kingdom. Here, Kabuhi changes the subject and tells Kaʻiana that she wants to have a child, but Maki asks Hiki to talk to her sister, and it's clear that he's not happy with the idea of having children. But Hiki has a different opinion and encourages her sister, saying she is right. Kaʻiana looks at his brother Nahi and then jokes with his wife, telling her not to mention children in front of Nahi because he also doesn't like kids. Kabuhi laughs and reassures him that his brother will be fine, then tells Kaʻiana that she is sure he will be a good father. While they are talking, they hear the sound of someone blowing a conch shell, which means a boat is approaching them. They quickly go to the shore and find out that the boat is coming from the kingdom of Maui. As soon as the boat reaches the shore, a delegation from Maui disembarks, and Kaʻiana notices that they are all men of King Kekili and are armed. Kaʻiana understands that the king's men have come and are not prepared for their request to be refused. At that moment, Aho, the king's advisor, approaches Kaʻiana and tells him that he can't imagine that the son of the Maui war leader would flee from the king's army. He asks him, surprised, if he left his homeland and position for this poor life. At that moment, Kaʻiana notices a warrior moving among the ranks, looking angrily at him and his family. Aho continues talking to Kaʻiana, telling him that King Kekili wants to meet him. Kaʻiana asks about the reason for the meeting, and Baho says he doesn't tell but warns him not to ignore the king's request, telling him they will wait for him the next day on the shore of Maui. Here the warrior who was looking angrily earlier steps forward and asks Kaʻiana if he is still with the Maui army, not giving him a chance to answer, and says that if it weren't for the king's orders, he would have killed him. He warns him not to try to escape because they will find him wherever he goes. Then he looks angrily at Hiki, who gets scared and hides behind her sister Kabu. The next day, Kaʻiana and his siblings go to the shore of Maui, where a group of warriors led by Kubo, King Kekili's son, is waiting for them. As soon as Kubo sees Kaʻiana, he tells him that many of them doubted he would come, and that he came himself to check on the warriors and meet King Kekili. On the way, Kubo tells Kaʻiana that when he was a child, he used to watch Kaʻiana fighting with his father, the army leader, and says he always knew that Maui would never be defeated in any war as long as Kaʻiana was the leader. That's why he is happy Kaʻiana has returned. But Kaʻiana tells him he hasn't really returned to the kingdom. They arrive at the warriors' field, and King Kekili appears, staring at Kaʻiana as he approaches. Kaʻiana walks among the warriors and sees them training. Unfortunately, the people of Kauaʻi see him as a stranger and look at him angrily, as he was supposed to be the leader who brings them victory. But since he left, they have been angry with him. There is a strong warrior named Noah training the warriors on how to avoid spear throws in battle. When Noah sees Kaʻiana, he throws a spear at him, hitting the war machine next to him. At that moment, Paʻa says to Kaʻiana that this is a warm welcome for a traitor who left his post and abandoned his people. At that moment, Namaki asks Kubo why they don't train the warriors the old way. Kubo replies that if they did, they would lose all the warriors during training because the old way is too hard. Noah throws another spear at Kaʻiana, but misses. Then Noah stands in front of Kaʻiana holding a spear, announcing a challenge between him and Kaʻiana. At that moment, Paʻa notices that King Kekili is interested in what's happening, so he announces a combat match in the old way between Noah and Kaʻiana. The match starts quickly. Noah throws spears at Kaʻiana, but Kaʻiana moves skillfully and dodges them all until he reaches Noah, lifts him, and throws him to the ground forcefully. At that moment, Noah tries to stab him with the knife, but he fails because Kaʻiana holds him forcefully and breaks his arm, so Noah screams loudly from the pain, and thus the match ends with Kaʻiana's victory. Paʻa is not pleased with what's happening. Unlike King Kekili, who steps down from his place, approaches Kaʻiana, welcomes him and his siblings, and tells Kaʻiana that he is a fierce fighter like his father, who managed to protect the kingdom for many years and is missed every day. Kekili asks Kaʻiana to join the Maui warriors, but Kaʻiana tells him he only came to answer his invitation, nothing more. Kekili says he understands his circumstances and knows he had his own reasons for leaving his position as army leader. He takes him aside to talk in another place and show him the kingdom. There, Kubo tells Kaʻiana that their kingdom faces a great threat. The seers have predicted that the people of the kingdom will be enslaved under the rule of the kingdom of Oʻahu, and spies have reported the army of the kingdom of Oʻahu is much larger than theirs. So Namaki is surprised and asks Kubo about the reason that would make the kingdom of Oʻahu declare war on them, especially since the king of Oʻahu is still a young man who always pledges his loyalty to King Kekili and always says he is committed to the truce between them. Kubo tells him that the problem is not with the king, but with the high priest, because he is an evil man. He tells him that he managed to control the king's mind and made him declare war on them. But Kaʻiana refuses and tells Kubo that he and his brothers will not participate in this war, and he is about to leave when Kekili stops him and tells him that this war is the fulfillment of the ancient prophecy. They find out that the seers have reported seeing a vision in which Kaʻiana is fighting alongside Kekili and that they will win the war. Despite what Kekili says, Kaʻiana refuses, leaves, and at night, he returns with his brothers to the kingdom of Kauaʻi. As soon as Kekili sees them, she asks what happened, and Nahi answers, telling her that Kekili summoned them for war, but Kaʻiana refused. It turns out that Nahi is not happy with Kaʻiana's decision because he sees this as a good opportunity to return to their family and homeland. But Kaʻiana yells at him, saying he will not participate in any war that has no purpose. Nahi tells him that maybe Kekili is right and that this would be a good chance to achieve peace among the four kingdoms. Kekili responds, saying Kekili has never sought peace, but Nahi interrupts her, saying that maybe Kekili himself is the awaited king mentioned in the prophecy. Here, Kaʻiana tells Nahi that Kekili could never be the awaited king, and he leaves them and goes. The next day, Kekili visits Kaʻiana himself, which surprises Kaʻiana, especially since he came alone. Kekili tells him he doesn't need protection when he comes before his family. He tells him that his father was his closest friend and considered him a brother despite the conflicts between them. He also tells him that he wants to show him something important, and Kaʻiana agrees and goes with him. On the way, Kekili tells Kaʻiana that he knows why he left the kingdom. The reason is that Kekili fought the neighboring kingdoms to fulfill his own desires and satisfy his ego and greed. Kekili says he regrets what he did and regrets even more that Kaʻiana's father died in these wars. He continues telling Kaʻiana that this war is different. Kaʻiana says the aim of this war is just to show off strength, but Kekili tells him he is wrong, as this war will fulfill the prophecy. Kaʻiana says the prophecy said that a star would appear in the sky and after that the awaited king would unite the four kingdoms. But the star appeared and the king never showed up. Kekili tells him that he used to think the same, but the seers have a different opinion. Soon they arrive at a certain place and Kaʻiana finds a small hut with a chair inside. He is surprised and asks Kekili about the place. Kekili asks him to go inside and see for himself. Kaʻiana enters the hut and finds a chair with a doll that looks funny and is shocked when he sees the necklace on the doll because he realizes it is his father's body. Kekili tells him that the high priest of the kingdom of Oʻahu violated the sanctity of his father's death, exhumed his body and made it into a doll to mock all the warriors of the kingdom of Maui. Kekili takes advantage of Kaʻiana's emotional state and tries to change his mind, telling him that the time has come to achieve peace among the kingdoms and put an end to the chaos. Afterwards, Kaʻiana takes his father's body, burns it with his brothers while they cry, filled with anger over what happened, and they agree to join the war with Kekili. The next day, Kaʻiana stands alone by the sea and suddenly a woman named Tala appears before him. We learn that Tala is the greatest seer in the kingdom of Maui, and Kaʻiana is surprised because Tala died years ago. Tala tells him she has come to deliver a certain message and tells him he will be a witness to the fulfillment of the prophecy and asks him to take his father's hand. Kaʻiana tells her that her words are riddles to him, and suddenly Tala disappears, leaving him puzzled and confused. Afterwards, Kaʻiana goes to sit alone, and Kabuhi comes. As soon as she sees him, she knows he is thinking about something important. He tells her that he saw Tala, who told him to take his father's hand, and he doesn't understand what she means. But when Kabuhi gives him his father's sword, which Kekili sent him, he understands that this is the interpretation of Tala's words and that it means he must participate in the war. However, Kaʻiana is worried about Kekili's intentions and does not want to serve him as before. Kabuhi encourages him, telling him he will be serving the prophecy or the people of the kingdom of Maui. Afterwards, Kaʻiana puts on the warrior's cloak, wears his father's necklace, and goes with Nahi, Namaki, and Kabuhi to meet Kekili. Kaʻiana tells him that he has a plan that will allow them to conquer the kingdom of Oʻahu without many casualties while preserving the king's life. Kaʻiana's plan is to attack from the east, then go to the sanctuary temple and capture the high priest, thus neutralizing the threat, and then the king of Oʻahu will have no choice but to surrender. They set out for the kingdom of Oʻahu, and as soon as they reach the shore, they clash with the warriors of the kingdom of Oʻahu in a fierce battle. During the battle, Kaʻiana's skill and experience in war become apparent as he waits for the right moment and orders his forces to throw spears at the Oʻahu warriors, killing many of them and defeating anyone who stands in their way. Soon, Kaʻiana and his forces defeat the warriors of the kingdom of Oʻahu. However, Maki discovers that the spears used by these warriors are actually digging sticks, meaning they are farmers, not warriors. They realize that the kingdom of Oʻahu was not preparing for war. Kaʻiana is surprised when he hears the sound of Kekili's soldiers and is puzzled that Kekili is coming after him, which is against their agreement. At that moment, Kekili and his men attack the people of the kingdom of Oʻahu, killing them, and the survivors run to hide in the sanctuary temple. Even though this place is sacred and fighting is forbidden there, Kekili's men kill the people inside the temple and set them on fire. At that moment, Tola appears before Kaʻiana, but her appearance has changed and she looks sad about what is happening. Kaʻiana realizes that he misunderstood Tola's words when she told him he would participate in fulfilling the prophecy. He quickly runs with his brothers and wife and sees the temple burning with the people inside. At night, Kaʻiana arrives at the temple, saddened by the sight of corpses lying everywhere. He sees Kekili holding the king of Oʻahu, surprised that Kekili declared war and killed the people of his kingdom for no reason. But Kekili does not answer him, grabs a knife, and kills him. Kaʻiana asks Kekili about the high priest, but Kekili ignores him and thanks him because he helped him occupy Oʻahu. And he tells him that the high priest doesn't exist at all, and the main purpose of everything that happened was to convince him to help him invade Oʻahu. After that, he would be able to unite the four kingdoms under his rule and achieve peace among them. But Kaʻiana tells him that peace will never be achieved this way, and tells him that this is a violation of the sanctity of the kingdom of Oʻahu and an injustice to its people. He leaves him and walks away. At that moment, Kobo goes to Kaʻiana and tells him he didn't know anything and that his father lied to him just like he did to Kaʻiana, and that he discovered the truth about the invasion after the temple was occupied. Kaʻiana tells him that the blood of the people of Oʻahu is on his father's hands, then leaves him and walks away. After that, Kobo orders Baho to watch Kaʻiana and everyone with him, but insists that he not act or make any decisions without coming back to him. Kaʻiana leaves, tears in his eyes after seeing the number of innocent people who died. Elsewhere, on the island of Maui, we see a girl named Kaho standing and looking at the sky, observing the stars. Even though women are not allowed to study the stars, her uncle breaks the rules and tells her about the legend of the Red Star. This legend is not just a story Kaho hears, but a dream that takes her out of the world she is trapped in. But Kaho collides with the real world when her father, Moko, who is one of the leaders on the island of Hawaii, arrives and tells her and her mother that Kekili attacked the kingdom of Oʻahu and occupied it. Because of what happened, the atmosphere is tense between the remaining kingdoms and a war might break out between the kingdom of Maui and the kingdom of Hawaii. Moko suspects that the kingdom of Moho will soon close its doors in preparation for war and when that happens, he won't be able to see his daughter again. That's why he wants to take Kaho to the island of Hawaii to live with him, and he tells her mother that he will marry her to one of the kingdom's leaders, so she will be under protection. It turns out that Kaho is not happy about this, but she can't object to her father's word. Then one of Moko's men arrives and tells them they must leave before anyone sees them. Kaho's mother promises her husband Moko that she will send Kaho to the kingdom of Hawaii soon, so Moko says goodbye and leaves. In the kingdom of Oʻahu, Kobo enters his father and blames him for lying to him and making him believe he is fulfilling his prophecy. Kekili tells him that they waited many years, and the awaited king who would unite the kingdoms never appeared, so he decided to become the awaited king himself. At that time, Kaʻiana is sitting with his wife and sisters, thinking of a way to escape from the kingdom of Oʻahu, but the problem is that Baho is watching them himself with a group of warriors. Kaʻiana comes up with a clever plan and immediately asks Baho to take him to meet Kekili. Baho takes him to Kekili and asks him to wait until he informs him. When Kekili arrives, he is surprised to find that Kaʻiana has disappeared after breaking his father's sword and leaving. Kekili realizes that Kaʻiana tricked him and decided to escape with his group. He takes his men to search for them and discovers that they have eliminated all the warriors who were watching them and disappeared from the kingdom without a trace. Baho then tells Kekili that Kaʻiana and his companions will go to the kingdom of Maui because Heki, Kabuhi's sister and Kaʻiana's wife, is still there, and it's impossible for Kabuhi to leave her sister and escape. Kekili orders him to follow them and capture Kaʻiana dead or alive because, according to the oracle, Kekili doesn't need Kaʻiana for anything, but he needs his bones to benefit from the power granted to him by the god. The next day, Kaʻiana, his wife and his sisters reach the shore of the kingdom of Maui and run quickly to take Heki and leave. They are shocked when they don't find her in the place they left her. Nahi tells them that Heki loves plants and they will surely find her in the fields inside the island. At that moment, Kaʻiana hears a sound nearby and walks toward it, finding warriors from the kingdom of Maui running toward him. Kaʻiana looks at his wife and sisters, and Kabuhi immediately understands what he intends to do. Kaʻiana runs away from the warriors in the opposite direction of the fields to draw them away from his wife and sisters. Nahi wants to help Kaʻiana, but Kabuhi tells him that Kaʻiana can escape from the warriors by himself. When she notices that Kaʻiana is not with them, she worries about him and asks about him. Meanwhile, we see Kaʻiana running from the warriors through the forest, and they chase him at full speed until they reach the edge of a high cliff. They keep searching for Kaʻiana, but there is no trace of him, so they guess he went down the cliff and escaped. Kobo orders the warriors to split into two groups to surround Kaʻiana and capture him. At the same time, we see Kaho standing in front of the sea, confused and unsure about what to do about the marriage. Suddenly, Tola appears before her and tells her that her marriage will fail and she will see nothing but misery in her life. But there is one path, and if she takes it, she will find happiness. Tola tells her this won't happen except when the guardian who will lead her to this path appears. Kaho is shocked by Tola's words and doesn't believe her, and is even more shocked when Tola tells her she will be the cause of the destruction of the whole world. Back to Kaʻiana, the warriors discover his location and chase him. Baho manages to hit Kaʻiana in the head with a rock, and Kaʻiana falls to the ground, but he forces himself to get up and keeps running from the warriors until he reaches the shore and hides in a cave between the mountains. At that moment, Kaho appears and asks him who he is and what brought him to the cave. He tells her that the king's men are chasing him and he is hiding from them. She tells him he is injured and needs treatment. Kaho helps him walk and takes him to a specific place inside the cave. As soon as they arrive, Kaʻiana loses consciousness. Kaho quickly moves and begins to treat his wound. At night, Kaʻiana wakes up and wants to leave, but Kaho refuses and tells him he needs to rest. She then notices the tattoo on Kaʻiana's hand and tells him that the tattoo means he is the kingdom's army leader. She asks him why the king's men want to catch him even though he is their leader, but Kaʻiana doesn't answer, and instead asks her who she is. She tells him she is one of the people of the kingdom. He tells her she is not ordinary because she has the tattoos of the royal family, which means she is from the royal family. She tells him her mother is King Kekili's sister, but she has never seen him before. She says she is related to Kekili, but is not considered part of his family, and tells him she was born in a cave like the one they are in because her mother was hiding from Kekili after marrying her father against his will. She tells him her father's name is Moko, one of the leaders of the island of Hawaii, and one of Kekili's oldest enemies. Kaho says she spent her whole life afraid of Kekili, because if he found her, he might kill her. Kaʻiana tells her their enemy is the same, and shares his story with Kekili. He tells her everything that happened to him, and the next day Kaʻiana's condition improves. He gets ready to leave and notices a gun that Kaho has kept. She tells him that her father once fought against white-skinned people when they tried to occupy the island. It becomes clear that Kaho is worried about Kaʻiana and his family. She tells him that she has a boat and will go to the kingdom of Hawaii to marry the kingdom's Kaho suggests to Kaʻiana that he and his family go with her, telling him that the kingdom of Hawaii would be a suitable place to protect themselves from Kekili. Kaʻiana is convinced by her words and agrees. Then they set off to the fields, gather the rest of Kaʻiana's family, and leave the island. Suddenly, they encounter a group of English sailors, but the sailors' leader, Ariel, reassures Kaʻiana, saying they mean no harm and have only come to the island to gather food from its trees and plants before returning to their ship because they have run out of supplies. However, one of Ariel's men raises his weapon at Kaʻiana, intending to kill him, but Ariel hits his hand, causing the bullet to miss Kaʻiana. At that moment, Kubo and his men hear the gunshot and rush toward the sound. At the same time, Kaʻiana hurls a knife powerfully toward Ariel and his men, but it turns out he threw it at one of the Maui Kingdom's warriors who wanted to harm Ariel. Then Kaʻiana takes Kaho and leaves while Ariel and his men are stunned. One of Ariel's men finds a gun with the dead warrior and informs Ariel that it belonged to his colleague John, which means the warrior found John in the forest and killed him. Ariel then orders his men to withdraw from the island immediately. They hurry to the boats and board them to return to the ship before the islanders see them and finish them off. As for Kaʻiana, he gives Kaho his pendant and asks her to take it to Kabohi so she'll know Kaho comes from him. He tells her to take Kabohi and the rest of his family to the kingdom of Hawaii and lets her know that he will lure the king's men away and keep them busy until they can leave the island. He tells her he'll find a way to join them in Hawaii. Kaho listens to him, leaves, and when she reaches the fields, she gives the pendant to Kabohi and tells her what happened. Then she takes Kabohi and the others and quickly heads to the shore. There, Kaho bids her mother farewell before leaving the island. Suddenly, John appears in front of them, still alive, and asks Kaho to help him reach his colleague on the island. She agrees, takes him on the boat, and they leave. At that moment, Kabohi looks back at the island, worried about Kaʻiana, who at that time manages to distract the warriors and make them chase him. However, the warriors manage to corner him at the edge of a cliff. Kaʻiana tries to fight them, but they are too many and overpower him. At that moment, Baho approaches to kill him, but Kaʻiana moves quickly and dodges Bahu's strike. Just then Kubo and a group of warriors arrive. Kaʻiana grabs Baho and jumps off the cliff with him. Kubo runs and looks for them, but finds no trace. He orders his men to search for them. At night, we see Kaʻiana waking up on Ariel's ship, surrounded by English sailors. He panics and attacks them to keep them away. He is shocked to find himself far from Maui Island. Ariel tells him that the safest thing is for him to stay with them until he finds a way to return to his family. The first part of the series ends. If you liked the video, subscribe to the channel and activate the notification button so you never